Are LEGO sets getting too expensive? It's one of the most debated topics in the LEGO community, and it comes up every single time a new wave of sets is revealed. LEGO has always been considered a premium toy. Back in the 90s, parents would complain about a $40 pirate ship, and now we're talking about $400 Star Wars UCS sets. If you adjust for inflation, a lot of LEGO sets actually aren't that much more expensive than they used to be. But what has really changed is the scale of sets. We didn't used to get 6,000-piece builds on the regular. The average set was 200 to 400 pieces. Now LEGO routinely drops massive builds like the Titanic, Rivendell, and the Avengers Tower, all sitting in the $400-600 range. So in one sense, yes, prices are climbing. But in another sense, LEGO is just offering bigger, more detailed builds than ever before. So why are LEGO sets so pricey? There are a few reasons. First, material costs. LEGO bricks are made from high-quality ABS plastic. They're durable, non-toxic, and produced with an insane level of precision. LEGO says that only about 18 bricks in a million fail their quality test. That level of consistency costs money. On top of that, LEGO is investing in more sustainable materials, like sugarcane-based plastics, which are harder to make and currently more expensive than traditional ABS. Second, licensing fees. Star Wars, Marvel, Disney, those licenses don't come cheap. When you buy a Millennium Falcon, you're paying Disney as well as LEGO. That's why unlicensed sets, like City, Friends, or Creator 3-in-1, are usually cheaper per piece than Star Wars or Marvel ones. It's also why themes like Monkey Kid or Dream ZZZ can sometimes offer better value. They're in-house, so LEGO doesn't have to share profits. Third, design complexity. Sets today are way more advanced than they used to be. Compare a 1990s castle wall made out of stacked bricks to something like the Lion Knight's castle today, which uses angled plates, hinges, and dozens of tiny details to make it look realistic. Or think about the Technic Lamborghini Sean with its functioning gearbox. That's engineering-level design, not just toy design. That extra detail takes more design hours and testing, which adds to cost. And finally, collector culture. LEGO knows adults will pay premium prices for nostalgia and display pieces. That's why the 18+ black box packaging exists. It's a signal that this is for adults, not kids. UCS, ideas, icons, and large-scale display models are aimed directly at AFOLs who are willing to drop hundreds on a single set. LEGO has leaned into that market heavily, which explains why we see so many massive sets each year. But here's where the real debate comes in: value. Price and value aren't the same thing. Is $500 for the UCS Millennium Falcon expensive? Definitely. But is it worth it? For some fans, absolutely. It's a centerpiece display, it's got incredible design, and it's a dream set. For others, the same money could buy an entire wave of smaller sets, so the value feels completely different. The issue is even clearer with smaller sets. Star Wars Battle Packs used to be $10 to $12. Now they're $20. Same number of minifigures, maybe a slightly larger build. To a lot of fans, that feels like LEGO is testing how far they can push. City police stations used to be around $100. Now many are closer to $150, without necessarily offering much more. That's where frustration grows, when price rises but perceived value doesn't. And it's not just about the sets themselves. Think about how LEGO is competing for attention. A video game costs around $70 and can provide dozens of hours of entertainment. A LEGO set at the same price might take you a couple of hours to build and then mostly sit on a shelf. Of course, the tactile experience is totally different, but for families on a budget, that comparison matters. Another important angle is profit margins. LEGO is not a struggling company. In fact, it's one of the most profitable toy companies in the world. Their operating profit margins are consistently over 30%, which is huge compared to most industries. That tells you that LEGO could, in theory, lower prices if they wanted to. But instead, they reinvest in new factories, sustainable materials, marketing campaigns, and digital projects like LEGO Fortnite. So while the price might feel high to consumers, from LEGO's perspective, it's the balance that lets them keep growing globally. Then you've got the resale market. Websites like Bricklink, eBay, and Brick Economy have shown that LEGO is one of the few toys that not only holds its value but often appreciates. Retired sets like the Cafe Corner Modular or the UCS Falcon from 2007 sell for thousands today. Even smaller sets, like exclusive GWP promos, shoot up in price after they leave shelves. Some people treat LEGO like an investment, buying sets to resell later. That fuels the sense that LEGO is expensive, because collectors sometimes can't get what they want at retail and end up paying inflated secondary prices. And then there's the fan reaction. LEGO fans are very vocal. When the Star Wars 501st Battle Pack was revealed at $30 for 4 clones and a couple of droids, the community was split. Some said it was fair, others said LEGO was cashing in on army builders. Same thing with price hikes on CMFs. When minifig blind bags went from $4.99 to $5.99 and now into boxes at $5.99, fans noticed. Every increase sparks debates on Reddit, YouTube, and Instagram. LEGO does listen sometimes, like with the Queer Eye set being discounted fast after poor sales, but more often, they stick to their strategy. Finally, you have to think about LEGO's long-term risk. The company is trying to walk a fine line. On one hand, they know EFOLs are willing to spend, so they keep pumping out giant display sets. On the other hand, if kids and families feel priced out, you risk losing the next generation of builders. And if that happens, you lose the base of your community and future designers. LEGO knows this, which is why they still release smaller sets and polybags, but the perception is shifting. LEGO is no longer a toy for everyone, but a premium product. So, are LEGO sets getting too expensive? The answer depends on your perspective. Prices are higher than ever, and some sets, especially smaller ones, feel overpriced. But at the same time, LEGO is offering more detail, more advanced techniques, and more collector-focused sets than ever before. For some fans, the price is justified because of the experience, nostalgia, and display value. For others, it's hard to justify when the cost keeps climbing. And that tension between price and value is likely to keep fueling this debate for years to come.